The epidural had worn off an hour ago. 4:37 a.m. St. Mary's Hospital, 5th floor. My daughter, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, perfect, slept in the bassinet beside my bed while my husband whispered into his phone in the hallway. I know, baby. I'll be done here soon. She's sleeping. Yeah, the kid's fine. Derek's voice carried through the gap in the door. 2 more days, then we can go to Cabo like we planned. She won't even notice I'm gone. She, not Emma, not my wife. I'd known for months. Since the 2nd trimester, when he started working late at the pharmaceutical company where he was regional director. When his secretary, 24, blonde, fond of selfies in Derek's office, started appearing in his Instagram likes at 2 a.m. Her name was Brittany. She drove a white Mercedes he'd helped her lease. Wore Cartier bracelets he'd bought with our joint account. I'd said nothing, done nothing, just waited, growing larger and more invisible, while Derek played devoted husband at doctor's appointments and secretly planned vacations with his mistress. Now, 18 hours post-delivery, everything hurt. My body, my heart, the future I'd imagined crumbling like sand. But here's what Derek didn't know. 3 days ago, I called my uncle. Uncle Richard, the one Derek had met exactly once at our wedding, dismissed as some old guy who works in finance. Some old guy? Richard Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Pharmaceutical Global, the company that owned 43% of Derek's employer, MedTech Solutions. I hadn't spoken to Uncle Richard in years. My choice, my pride, my insistence on making it on my own. But when I found Derek's texts planning a vacation during our newborn's first week of life, something in me broke. So I called. And Uncle Richard said 6 words that changed everything. I'll be there tomorrow. Pack nothing. Let me rewind. 6 months earlier, when I first understood what Derek had become, the ultrasound photo sat on our kitchen counter. 20 weeks. A girl. Derek had smiled for the camera, his hand on my belly, the perfect father-to-be. Then he went to shower, and his phone buzzed. Again. I picked it up. No password. He'd never thought to hide anything from me. Brittany, missing you. Can't wait for Friday. Brittany, bought that lingerie you liked. Red. Brittany, when are you telling her? My hand shook. The phone clattered against granite. Derek emerged in a towel, saw his phone in my hand, and went very still. Emma, how long? It's nothing. Work stuff. She's just, how long, Derek? His jaw tightened. For months. But Emma, you have to understand. You changed. The pregnancy, you're always tired. You never want to get out. This is my house. Get out. He didn't leave, just dressed silently and went to the guest room. In the morning, he brought me tea and apologies. Said Brittany meant nothing. That he loved me. That he wanted our family. I was 6 months pregnant. Alone. Terrified. So I stayed. But I wasn't stupid. I opened my own bank account. Moved half our savings into it. Money I'd earned before we married. Called a lawyer. Started documenting everything. And I called Uncle Richard. Now, in this hospital room smelling of antiseptic and new life, Derek ended his call and returned wearing his mask of concern. How are you feeling, bae? He kissed my forehead. His cologne, Tom Ford, expensive, made my stomach turn. You need anything? Sleep. I'll let you rest. Gotta run home, grab some stuff. Be back tonight. He glanced at his phone. Actually, might be tomorrow morning. Work emergency. Of course. He didn't even look at our daughter before leaving. I waited until his footsteps faded. Then I picked up my phone and texted Uncle Richard. He's gone. Clear. The response came instantly. Lobby. 5 minutes. Uncle Richard arrived like a storm in a $1,000 suit. 73 years old, silver-haired, moving with the precision of a man who'd built an empire from nothing. Behind him, 2 lawyers in matching navy blazers, a woman in scrubs, holding a tablet, and a security guard. Emma. He kissed both my cheeks, then moved to the bassinet. His expression softened. She's beautiful. Looks like your mother. My eyes burned. Uncle Richard, no apologies. Family helps family. He nodded to the lawyers. These are my attorneys. They've prepared everything we discussed. The female lawyer, sharp-eyed, efficient, opened her briefcase. Mrs. Parker, we have divorce papers ready to file. Full custody, child support calculated at 18% of your husband's current salary, plus half of all marital assets. We've also prepared a restraining order if needed. There's more, Uncle Richard said quietly. Derek works for MedTech Solutions. I made some calls. They're very interested to learn about his expense account irregularities. My heart stopped. What irregularities? The Mercedes lease filed as a company car. The Cartier purchases on his corporate card. The vacation to Turks and Caicos last month, filed as a medical conference. But we have photos of him and Ms. Brittany Chen on the beach. He smiled, thin and dangerous. My investigators are thorough, but his company is partially owned by mine. His CEO reports to my board. Uncle Richard sat in the visitor's chair. Derek's termination hearing is scheduled for Monday. They take fraud very seriously. The room spun. Uncle Richard, I just wanted help with the divorce. I didn't ask you to. You called me crying at midnight, 9 months pregnant, asking if it was wrong to want better for your child. His voice was steel-wrapped in silk. Family doesn't leave family in situations like that. The lawyer spread papers across my rolling bed tray. Divorce petition, custody agreement, financial disclosure forms. Everything I'd been too tired, too scared, too trapped to handle alone. We've documented everything, she said. The affair, the financial infidelity, the emotional abandonment. In California, this is grounds for immediate separation with prejudice. What does that mean? It means you get everything. Uncle Richard's smile didn't reach his eyes. The house, the cars, full custody, child support, and spousal support for 5 years while you finish your degree. Derek gets his personal belongings and whatever's left of his reputation. The other lawyer, younger, male, radiating controlled aggression, opened his laptop. We've also prepared a statement from MedTech Solutions Board. Mr. Parker used company funds to support an extramarital affair. That's embezzlement. They'll terminate him to avoid liability. He'll be blacklisted in the industry, the female lawyer added. Fraud charges follow you. I looked at my sleeping daughter. Thought about Derek whispering to Brittany in the hallway. About him planning Cabo while I labored. About 4 months of lies while our child grew inside me. Do it, I whispered. File everything. Uncle Richard nodded. The lawyers moved with practiced efficiency. One more thing. He handed me a cream envelope. Heavy stock, my name in elegant script. Open it. Inside, a key card, a bank statement, and a letter. The statement showed $500,000. The letter read, your grandmother's trust, released upon the birth of your first child. She wanted you to have choices. Richard, I don't understand. Grandmother never. She did. 20 years ago, before she died. She knew what it meant to be trapped. He touched my hand. Your grandmother left China with nothing, built a life through sheer will. She wanted her granddaughters to never feel powerless. Tears blurred my vision. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because you were stubborn, independent. You'd have refused help out of pride. He smiled gently. Like me at your age. But Emma, strength isn't refusing help. It's knowing when to accept it. The key card had an address embossed in gold. 2847 Pacific Coast Highway. Penthouse 4. Yours, Uncle Richard said. Fully furnished. Security. Parking for 2. Move in tomorrow if you want. I can't. You can. You will. His voice turned firm. You're not going back to that house where he brought her. Where he lied to you for months. You're taking your daughter somewhere clean. Somewhere yours. A knock on the door. Derek's mother, Susan, entered carrying a balloon bouquet and wearing Burberry. She froze seeing Uncle Richard. Emma, darling. I came as soon as I could. Derek said. She noticed the papers. The lawyers. Her smile faltered. What's going on? Mrs. Parker. The female lawyer stood. I'm Claire Morrison, representing your daughter-in-law in her divorce from your son. Susan's face went white. Divorce? Emma, what is this? Derek said everything was fine. Derek lied. I kept my voice steady. He's been having an affair throughout my pregnancy. I have proof. I'm filing for divorce and full custody. That's not. Derek wouldn't. But her protest died. She wasn't stupid. Probably suspected for months. Ma'am. Uncle Richard stood, commanding the room despite his age. Your son committed fraud using company funds. He's being terminated Monday. Emma and the baby will be well cared for. If you want a relationship with your granddaughter, I suggest you accept the situation gracefully. Susan sank into a chair. The balloons bobbed mockingly above her head. I knew something was wrong. The way he talked about work. How much time he spent away. She looked at me, eyes swimming. Emma, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, isn't it? I raised him. Made excuses when he was selfish as a boy. Told him he deserved the best, that he was special. Her voice cracked. I made him into a man who thinks the world owes him everything. The baby stirred, making soft mewling sounds. Susan looked at the bassinet with naked longing. "May I?" she whispered. I nodded. She lifted my daughter with practiced hands, tears streaming. "She's perfect. Absolutely perfect." She looked at Uncle Richard. "What do I need to do to be part of her life?" "Support your daughter-in-law. Testify honestly if needed. And teach your son that actions have consequences." Uncle Richard's voice softened slightly. "Emma's not vindictive. She's protecting her child. If you can accept that, there's room for you in this family." Susan nodded, holding her granddaughter like salvation. That evening, Derek returned at 11 p.m. smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. He didn't notice the papers on my tray, didn't see the lawyer's business cards, just bent to kiss my forehead, reeking of lies. "Sorry I'm late. Work stuff. How's our girl?" "Derek," I kept my voice calm. "I'm divorcing you." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Babe, you're exhausted. Hormones are crazy right now. Let's talk when you're rational. I know about Brittany, the Mercedes, the Cartier, Turks and Caicos. I have bank statements, photos, texts. My lawyers filed papers this afternoon." His face transformed. Shock, anger, fear. "You can't. We can work this out. Emma, I love you." "You're also fired. MedTech Solutions received documentation of your expense fraud today. Your hearing is Monday." "What?" The color drained from his face. "That's not." "Who told them?" "My uncle, Richard Chen, CEO of Chen Pharmaceutical Global." I watched it hit him. The recognition, the memory of the old guy he'd dismissed at our wedding, the calculation of just how badly he'd miscalculated. Your uncle is." He gripped the bed rail. "Emma, please. I'll fix this. I'll end things with Brittany. I'll be better. Don't do this." "I already did. You can't survive without me. You dropped out of school. You have no job, no money. I have $500,000 in my grandmother's trust, a penthouse on Pacific Coast Highway, and full custody of my daughter." I smiled. "I'll be fine." He stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe I finally stopped being the girl who made herself small for a man who couldn't see her worth. "Get out, Derek. The lawyers will contact you with visitation terms." "This isn't over." Security appeared in the doorway. "Uncle Richard's doing." "Sir, visiting hours ended. Time to leave." Derek looked at me, at the baby, at the ruins of everything he'd taken for granted. Then he left. 3 weeks later, I stood in my new living room watching sunrise paint the Pacific gold and orange. The penthouse was everything Uncle Richard promised. Floor-to-ceiling windows, chef's kitchen, nursery already furnished with a crib that cost more than my first car. My daughter, Lily, named for my grandmother, slept in a bassinet beside the couch. 3 weeks old. Perfect. The divorce was proceeding smoothly. Derek's lawyer had tried fighting, but the evidence was overwhelming. MedTech Solutions had terminated him the day after his hearing. Fraud, misuse of company funds, ethical violations. They'd found even more irregularities once they started looking. Brittany had been fired too. Turns out her entire position was nepotism. Derek had created a job for her, inflated her salary, made her essential to secure her loyalty. Now they were both unemployed. Derek had moved in with his mother. Brittany had moved back to Arizona. The karma was almost too perfect. My phone buzzed. Uncle Richard, calling from Shanghai. "How's my great niece?" "Growing. Sleeping better. She smiled yesterday, probably gas, but I'm counting it." He chuckled. "And you?" "Settling in. It's surreal. This apartment. The money. I keep thinking I'll wake up back in that house, trapped." I moved to the window. "Uncle Richard, why didn't you tell me about the trust before? When I was struggling." Silence. Then, "Because your grandmother made me promise. She said you needed to learn your strength before you had resources. That too much too soon would make you dependent, not free." I could have left Derek months ago. Could you? Or would you have stayed, trying to make it work, thinking you owed him something because you were financially comfortable? His voice was gentle. "Emma, you left when you were ready. When you chose yourself and your daughter over fear and false security. That's strength. The money just removed barriers." I thought about that. About how I'd called him not for money, but for help. How I documented everything, opened my own accounts, made plans. The resources just accelerated what I was already doing. She was smart, your grandmother. She was Like you. He paused. I have a proposition. MedTech Solutions needs a new regional director. They're looking for someone who understands both business and ethics. Someone detail-oriented, organized, capable of rebuilding a corrupted division. Uncle Richard, hear me out. Remote work for the first 2 years. Flexible hours. Full benefits. Salary is $180,000 base plus performance bonuses. It's yours if you want it. My heart raced. I don't have a degree. You have 2 years of business school and 5 years as Derek's unpaid consultant. I've seen your work. You managed your household finances, planned his schedule, reviewed his contracts. You were his secret weapon. His voice turned sharp. Tom, you got paid for your labor. What about Lily? On-site daycare. Or bring her to the office. I don't care. Emma, I'm offering you a career, not a cage. Structure it however you need. I looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully. Thought about my grandmother leaving China. About Uncle Richard building an empire. About generations of women who'd been underestimated and survived anyway. I'll need time to think. Take all the time you need. The position isn't going anywhere. He softened. Your grandmother would be proud, Emma. You chose yourself when it mattered. That's the legacy she wanted. After we hung up, I opened my laptop. Searched for online degree programs in business administration. Found one that offered credit for life experience, flexible scheduling, night classes. I was 28. A single mother. Starting over. I was also $500,000 richer, offered a 6-figure job, and free of a man who'd made me small. The trade felt fair. Derek came for his first supervised visitation on Saturday. Court ordered, 2 hours, at a neutral location with Susan present. I waited in the parking lot while he held Lily in a community center's playroom. When he emerged, he looked hollowed out, thinner, older. The swagger was gone. Emma. He approached slowly, like I might bolt. Can we talk? The lawyers, I know. He ran his hand through his hair. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know I destroyed everything. But I need you to know I'm sorry. I looked at him. This man I'd loved. Who'd promised forever and delivered betrayal. I waited for anger, for satisfaction at his downfall. Instead, I felt nothing. Just a distant pity for someone who'd had everything and thrown it away for something shiny. Okay, I said. Okay. He blinked. That's it. What do you want, Derek? Forgiveness? Permission to feel better about yourself? I adjusted Lily's car seat. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I lost everything because of you. No. You lost everything because of you. I opened my car door. The affair. The fraud. The lies. Those were your choices. Your uncle destroyed my career. Your actions destroyed your career. Uncle Richard just made sure the right people knew about them. I buckled Lily's car seat. Take some responsibility, Derek. Maybe then you'll actually grow. I drove away, watching him shrink in my rearview mirror. 6 months later, I walked across a stage in cap and gown. Online degree complete, honors distinction. Uncle Richard flew in from Singapore. Susan sat in the front row, holding Lily, cheering loudest of anyone. Derek sent a card. Congratulations. Proud of you. No return address. I heard through Susan he was working as a sales associate at a medical supply company, making $45,000 a year, dating someone age-appropriate, attending therapy. Maybe he'd learn. Maybe not. Either way, he wasn't my problem. I started at MedTech Solutions the following Monday. My own office, my own team, my own vision for rebuilding what Derek had corrupted. I was good at it. Better than Derek had ever been. Turned out all those years of unpaid consulting had taught me everything I needed to know about running a division. Within a year, I was promoted. Within 2, I was vice president of Western operations. Uncle Richard called it inevitable. You were always brilliant, Emma. You just needed to stop making yourself smaller for people who couldn't see your size. On Lily's 2nd birthday, we had a party in my penthouse. Uncle Richard, Susan, my college friends, my team from work. People who loved me. Who saw me. Derek had supervised visits every other weekend. He was good with Lily, better than he'd been as a husband. Maybe fatherhood humbled him. Maybe losing everything taught him what actually mattered. I didn't care. My life wasn't about him anymore. It was about the sunrise over the Pacific. About Lily's laugh. About the career I'd built from ruins. About being underestimated and proving every doubter wrong. Derek had cheated throughout my pregnancy, thinking I was trapped. Thinking I had nowhere to go, no options, no power. He was right about one thing. I did change during pregnancy. I got stronger. And when my billionaire uncle appeared at that hospital with papers, he wasn't saving me. He was just giving me the tools I'd already decided to use. The revenge wasn't in Derek's downfall, though watching him reap what he'd sown was satisfying. The revenge was this. I took the worst moment of my life and built something beautiful from it. I wasn't the girl who stayed quiet anymore. I was the woman who spoke up, rebuilt her life, and taught her daughter that strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up, dusting yourself off, and building something better than before. Derek gave me betrayal. I gave myself freedom. The math was simple. I won.